Captain Nadia Volkov stood at the observation deck of the ESS Hyperion, her reflection ghosting against the reinforced plasteel as she watched the stars drift by. 20 years of deep space exploration had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every fiber of her being screamed that something was wrong with the data streaming across her neural interface. "Run the comparison again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the tension coiling in her stomach. The ship's quantum AI complied instantly, projecting a holographic overlay of two star maps side by side. The first was humanity's most complete stellar cartography, representing centuries of astronomical observations and deep space missions. The second was the alien database they'd recovered from the derelict vessel they'd found drifting in the Carina Nebula. Lieutenant Jun Park, her chief xenoarchaeologist, manipulated the holographic display with practiced gestures. "Captain, I've cross-referenced the data 7 times now. The alien map contains perfect stellar cartography for the entire Milky Way galaxy, except for this region." His fingers traced a perfect sphere of emptiness, approximately 60 light-years in diameter, centered exactly where Earth's solar system should be. "It's too perfect to be a coincidence," Volkov muttered, her cybernetic eye zooming in on the void's edge. "The rest of the map contains details about stars we haven't even discovered yet. Whoever made this deliberately erased our sector." Dr. Raj Patel, the ship's xenobiologist, cleared his throat. "Captain, the biological samples we found in the derelict, they are unlike anything in our database. The cellular structure suggests a civilization capable of manipulating matter at the quantum level. If they had the technology to map the galaxy with this precision, they could have easily hidden an entire sector of space." Volkov's mind raced with implications. The Hyperion had been commissioned to push the boundaries of human exploration, to find answers to humanity's greatest question: are we alone? Now, standing before evidence that not only were they not alone, but that someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to hide humanity from the rest of the galaxy, she felt the weight of command pressing down on her shoulders. "What about the ship's logs?" she asked, turning to Communications Officer Zara O'Neill, who had spent weeks decoding the alien data crystals. O'Neill's fingers danced across her holoscreen. "Most were corrupted, but I managed to extract fragments. They contain references to something called the Quarantine Protocol, and repeated mentions of preservation of cosmic balance. There's also..." She hesitated, "a timestamp, Captain. According to the decay rate of the data crystals, these records are over 10,000 years old." The revelation hit Volkov like a physical blow. 10,000 years. Humanity had barely learned to write then, yet advanced civilizations had already known about Earth, had already decided to hide it from the rest of the galaxy. "Captain," Park's voice carried an edge of urgency. "There's more. The derelict's navigation system shows it was on a predetermined patrol route, one that circles the edge of our sector. It was guarding us. Or containing us," Volkov countered, her mind already formulating plans. "The question is, why? And more importantly, are they still watching?" As if in answer to her question, the Hyperion's proximity alerts suddenly blared to life. Officer O'Neill's hands flew across her console. "Multiple objects decloaking, Captain. Massive energy signatures, unlike anything we've ever encountered." Through the observation window, Volkov watched as space itself seemed to ripple and tear. 7 vessels emerged from what appeared to be folds in reality itself. Their design was organic, almost crystalline, with surfaces that shifted and flowed like liquid metal. They were beautiful, alien, and terrifying. "Battle stations," Volkov ordered calmly, even as her heart raced. "But do not power weapons. Whatever happens next will determine the future of our entire species." She straightened her uniform, squared her shoulders. "Open a channel to all frequencies. If they've been watching us all this time, let's find out why." The alien vessels arranged themselves in a perfect heptagon around the Hyperion, close enough to demonstrate their superior technology but far enough to suggest they weren't immediately hostile. As Volkov waited for response to their hails, she couldn't help but wonder if humanity was ready for what came next. They had spent centuries looking up at the stars, wondering if anyone was out there. Now they knew the truth: they hadn't been alone, they had been isolated. And someone had finally decided it was time for that to change. A signal penetrated all of the Hyperion's communication systems simultaneously, and a voice that seemed to bypass their ears and speak directly to their minds echoed through the bridge, "Children of Earth, you have found what was hidden. The time of separation is ending. Prepare yourselves, the galaxy awaits." Volkov exchanged glances with her crew, seeing in their faces the same mix of fear and excitement she felt in her own heart. Whatever happened next would change everything. Humanity's long isolation was about to end, and she had a feeling they would need every ounce of courage and ingenuity they possessed to face what was coming. "Well," she said, allowing herself a small smile, "I believe this qualifies as first contact. Let's make it count." The crystalline aliens called themselves the Luminarii, and as Captain Volkov sat in the secure conference chamber aboard their flagship, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was sitting inside a living organism rather than a spacecraft. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, and the air itself seemed to carry whispers of thought. Across from her, the Luminarii representative, a being of pure light and geometric patterns that called itself Nexus, hovered above a platform of swirling energy. Behind Volkov, Lieutenant Park and Dr. Patel sat in tense silence, their neural recorders capturing every moment of this historic meeting. "Your species was not meant to discover us for another century," Nexus communicated, its thoughts materializing as perfectly formed words in their minds. "The quarantine protocol has stood for 50,000 years, protecting both humanity and the greater galaxy." "Protecting us from what?" Volkov asked, leaning forward. "We've achieved faster-than-light travel, colonized dozens of worlds, and developed quantum computing. What possible threat could justify keeping us imprisoned in our own sector of space?" The Luminarii's form flickered, geometric patterns shifting in what might have been discomfort. "You misunderstand, Captain. The quarantine was not to protect you from the galaxy. It was to protect the galaxy from what you guard." Dr. Patel shifted in his seat. "Guard? We're not guarding anything. We've explored every planet in our sector." "Not every planet," Nexus corrected. "Your worlds hold secrets buried so deep that your most advanced scanning technology cannot detect them. The beings you call the Ancient Ones, those whose ruins you found on Mars and Europa, they were not your predecessors. They were your wardens." The revelation hit Volkov like a physical blow. The mysterious ruins that had puzzled archaeologists for generations, the geometric structures beneath Mars's polar ice, the crystalline towers deep in Europa's oceans, they weren't remnants of a dead civilization. They were active containment facilities. Before she could process this, alarms blared through both ships. Officer Anil's voice crackled through Volkov's neural link, "Captain, we're detecting massive quantum disturbances throughout the sector. Something's coming through." The conference chamber's walls became transparent, revealing space itself tearing open in dozens of locations. Ships emerged, hundreds of them, but these weren't the elegant crystalline vessels of the Luminarii. These were dark, angular shapes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "The Void Hunters," Nexus's thought voice carried an edge of what could only be fear. "They seek what was hidden on your worlds. The quarantine was meant to prevent them from finding Earth's sector. Now that it's compromised." Volkov was already moving. "Hyperion, battle stations. All hands prepare for combat protocol Alpha." She turned to Nexus. "Those ruins on our worlds, they're weapons, aren't they? Left behind by some ancient war." "Not weapons," Nexus corrected as its ship's defensive systems engaged. "Keys. Your solar system contains 9 keys that, when combined, can unlock the prison of beings that nearly destroyed reality itself. The Ancient Ones chose your species to guard these keys because you possessed something unique, something even we don't fully understand." "What's that?" Lieutenant Park asked. "Unpredictability. Creativity. The ability to make impossible choices and survive impossible odds. The very traits that make your species dangerous also make you the perfect guardians, if you can survive what's coming." The first shots were fired, beams of dark energy that distorted space itself. The Luminarii ships moved in perfect geometric formations, their crystalline surfaces redirecting the attacks. But the Void Hunters kept coming, their ships moving with a singular purpose toward Earth's coordinates. Your people need to know what they're protecting, Nexus communicated urgently. The keys cannot fall into the Void Hunters' hands. If they free their masters, then we don't let that happen, Volkov stated firmly. She opened a channel to Earth Command, knowing this transmission would change human history forever. This is Captain Nadia Volkov of the ESS Hyperion. Earth sector is under attack by hostile forces. We are in contact with friendly aliens called the Luminarii. Everything we thought we knew about our place in the galaxy is wrong. We're not isolated because we're primitive, we're isolated because we're protecting something vital. Something's been hidden on our worlds, and now everyone's coming to claim it. She paused, watching as more Void Hunter ships emerged from their spatial tiers. Earth Command, we need to activate every defense platform, every ship, every weapon we have. Humanity just became the front line in a war that's been raging since before our species learned to make fire. And we cannot, must not, lose. As she finished her transmission, Volkov turned to Nexus. You said we're unpredictable. Creative. Well, you're about to see just how creative humans can be when we're fighting for our survival. Now, tell us everything you know about these keys, because if we're going to defend them, we need to know exactly what we're dying for. The battle for Earth's sector had begun, and with it, humanity's true role in the galaxy was about to be revealed. The war room deep beneath Earth's Olympus base hummed with tension as holographic displays showed the battle raging across the solar system. Captain Volkov stood before the assembled Joint Space Command, her cybernetic eye projecting additional data streams as she delivered her report. The Hyperion had barely made it back to Earth ahead of the Void Hunters' advance fleet. The keys are distributed across our system, she explained, gesturing to a three-dimensional map where 9 points pulsed with warning indicators. Mars, Europa, Venus, Mercury, Titan, Neptune's dark spot, the Kuiper belt, Earth's moon, and the final key. She paused, is buried in Earth's core. Admiral Diego Ortiz, his dark features illuminated by the holographic glow, leaned forward. And these keys, according to your Luminarii friends, can unlock some kind of cosmic prison. The Abyss Gate, Dr. Patel interjected, pulling up ancient symbols from the Luminarii database. The beings trapped inside exist in a state that defies our understanding of physics. The Luminarii call them the reality weavers, entities that can reshape space, time, and consciousness itself. Lieutenant Park's fingers danced across his console, highlighting defensive positions. The Ancient One's ruins aren't just storing the keys, they are part of a massive defense network. That's why they built structures on multiple worlds. Each key is protected by technology we're only now beginning to understand. A massive explosion rocked the facility. Officer O'Neill's voice came through the neural network. Void Hunters have breached the Kuiper belt defense line. Luminarii ships are engaging, but they are taking heavy losses. Volkov watched as humanity's first major space battle unfolded across multiple fronts. The combined Earth fleet, fighting alongside the crystalline ships of the Luminarii, struck back against the dark vessels of the Void Hunters. Human ingenuity and unpredictability paired with Luminarii technology created strategies the enemy couldn't predict. We need to activate the defense network, Volkov declared. The Ancient Ones chose us for a reason. There must be a way for humans to interface with their technology. Dr. Patel's eyes widened as he analyzed new data. Captain, the ruins respond to human neural patterns. Our brains, they are compatible with the Ancient One's technology. That's why they chose us. But interfacing with their tech could be fatal, Lieutenant Park warned. The energy readings are off the charts. Another explosion, closer this time. Admiral Ortiz received an urgent update through his neural link. They've taken Titan. The key there, they have it. Volkov made a decision. I'm going to Mars. The largest ruins are there, possibly the control center for the entire network. Dr. Patel, Lieutenant Park, you're with me. Officer O'Neill will coordinate communications from orbit. Captain, Nexus's thought voice interrupted, the Luminarii representative materializing in the war room. If you activate the network, there's no guarantee you'll survive. The Ancient One's technology was meant to be used by beings far different from humans. Different, but not better, Volkov responded. You said we're unpredictable. Creative. Maybe that's exactly what the technology needs. Not perfect beings, but adaptable ones. The next hours were a blur of action. The Hyperion, escorted by Luminarii vessels, fought its way to Mars while Earth's combined fleet engaged the Void Hunters in the largest space battle in human history. As they approached the red planet, its surface came alive, ancient structures rising from beneath the dust, geometric patterns lighting up in sequences never before seen. Inside the largest structure, Volkov and her team found what they were looking for, a chamber that pulsed with the same bioorganic technology as the Luminarii ships, but different, older, more primal. The neural interface is active, Dr. Patel reported, scanning the living metal console that emerged from the chamber's center. It's waiting for human input. Volkov stepped forward. How many interfaces are there? 3, Lieutenant Park answered. The system needs 3 human minds working in perfect sync to activate the network. Another explosion rocked the chamber. Through their neural links, they received the update: the Void Hunters had taken Neptune's key. 2 down, 7 to go. Well, Volkov looked at her 2 most trusted crew members. I guess this is why the Ancient Ones chose humans. We work better together. She placed her hand on the first interface. Doctor, Lieutenant, care to help me save reality? As Patel and Park took their positions at the other interfaces, Volkov felt the ancient technology reaching out, touching her mind. The chamber hummed with power that had laid dormant for millennia, waiting for this moment, waiting for humanity to reach this point. Whatever happens, she said, looking at her team, it's been an honor. Now, let's show these Void Hunters why the Ancient Ones chose humanity as their guardians. The interfaces activated, and 3 human minds merged with technology beyond their comprehension. As consciousness expanded and reality itself seemed to bend, Volkov had one last coherent thought: humanity's true purpose was never to be isolated from the galaxy, but to be its last, best hope for survival. The real question was, were they ready for that responsibility? The universe exploded into clarity within Volkov's expanded consciousness. Connected to the Ancient One's technology, she experienced reality through 3 synchronized minds, her own, Patel's, and Park's. Through their merged awareness, the true nature of the defense network crystallized with stunning intensity. It wasn't just a weapon system. It was a key to understanding the very fabric of existence. The patterns, Park's thoughts resonated through their shared consciousness. They are not just defense protocols, they are a language written in quantum mechanics. Patel's consciousness pulsed with recognition. The Ancient Ones didn't just leave us weapons. They left us their knowledge. Their understanding of reality itself. Through their expanded awareness, they watched as geometric patterns of energy erupted from Mars's surface, connecting with similar patterns emerging from Earth, Venus, and the remaining worlds holding keys. A lattice of pure energy began forming throughout the solar system, the defense network awakening after 50,000 years of dormancy. But something was wrong. The network's incomplete, Volkov realized, their shared consciousness detecting the gaps where the Titan and Neptune keys should have been. The Void Hunters captured keys, they are creating disruptions in the pattern. Through their neural link, Officer Anil's voice cut through their merged consciousness: Captain. The Void Hunters, they are not just taking the keys. They are using them. Some kind of reality distortion is spreading from their ships. The shared vision shifted, and they saw it, space itself warping around the Void Hunters' vessels. Reality buckled and twisted, creating zones where the laws of physics simply ceased to function. The enemy was learning to use the keys' power, turning them against their defenders. Admiral Ortiz's voice followed: all Earth fleet vessels, fall back to secondary positions. These reality distortions are tearing our ships apart. We need to complete the pattern. Patel's thoughts raced through their shared mind. The network wasn't designed to run with missing keys. It's becoming unstable. A new presence entered their expanded consciousness: Nexus, the Luminarii representative, its crystalline thoughts merging with their human awareness. There is a way, the alien consciousness suggested. The Ancient Ones built redundancies into the system. New keys can be forged, but the price is unimaginable. Through their shared vision, they understood. Creating new keys would require channeling the fundamental forces of reality through human consciousness. It would mean absorbing the same powers that the reality weavers once wielded, powers that had driven their ancient civilization to madness. The human mind was never meant to contain such forces, Nexus warned. The attempt alone could shatter your consciousness across multiple dimensions. Another explosion rocked the chamber. The Void Hunters were approaching Maz, their reality distortions growing stronger as they learned to control the stolen key's power. How long? Volkov asked through their shared mind. How long to forge new keys? Minutes in real time, Nexus answered. But subjectively, within the accelerated consciousness state required, it would feel like centuries. You would experience millennia of existence in moments. Few minds could survive such an ordeal. But not one mind, Park's thought sparked with inspiration. 3 minds, working together. We could share the burden. Patel's consciousness resonated with understanding. The Ancient Ones chose humanity because we can adapt, but also because we can connect. Work together. Share the impossible. Through their neural link, they heard Anil's desperate update: Void Hunters breaching Maz's orbital defense. 5 minutes until they reach the surface. Volkov made the decision for all of them. Nexus, show us how. If humanity was chosen to guard reality, then we're damn well going to prove we deserve that trust. The Luminarii consciousness merged deeper with theirs, showing them the pattern, the quantum mathematics needed to forge new keys. As their shared awareness expanded to contain this impossible knowledge, Volkov felt their individual identities beginning to fragment under the strain. Hold on to each other, she commanded as reality itself seemed to pour through their minds. Whatever happens, whatever we see, whatever we become, we do this together. Their consciousness exploded across dimensions. They experienced the birth and death of universes, witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations across countless realities, felt the fundamental forces of existence flowing through their shared awareness. Through it all, 3 human minds held onto each other, using their connection as an anchor in the infinite. Somewhere in normal space-time, Officer Anil watched in awe as Captain Volkov and her 2 crew members began to glow with impossible energies. Their bodies hovering above the ground, surrounded by geometric patterns that mirrored the very language of reality itself. The same patterns began emerging from their neural interfaces, spreading throughout the Ancient One's facility, reaching up through Maz's atmosphere toward space. The Void Hunters' reality distortions met this new force and shattered against it. In the space between moments, humanity had learned to speak the language of creation itself. The question was, would their minds survive long enough to use it? Time had lost all meaning in the infinite expanse of their shared consciousness. Volkov, Patel, and Park existed across multiple dimensions simultaneously, their merged minds wrestling with forces that threatened to tear reality apart. Through their expanded awareness, they watched as quantum possibilities collapsed and reformed, as timelines branched and merged. And finally, they understood the truth. The reality weavers, Patel's thoughts echoed across their shared consciousness. They weren't trying to destroy existence, they were trying to perfect it. And that's why they had to be stopped. Park's mind resonated with sudden clarity. Reality isn't meant to be perfect. It's the flaws, the chaos, the uncertainty that allows for growth, for change, for life itself. Through their neural link, Officer Anil's voice reached them, distorted by the reality fluctuations surrounding Maz. Captain. They're Void Hunters, they are attempting something with the stolen keys. Energy readings are off any scale we've ever designed. Their shared consciousness shifted focus, witnessing what the enemy was attempting. The Void Hunters had arranged their ships in a massive geometric pattern, the stolen keys from Titan and Neptune pulsing with dark energy at its center. They were trying to create their own version of the Ancient One's defense network, a corrupted mirror of the original design. They are attempting to crack open the Abyss Gate, Nexus's crystalline thoughts warned. Even a partial key sequence could create enough instability to. The Luminarii's warning was cut short as reality shuddered. Through their expanded awareness, they watched in horror as cracks began appearing in the fabric of spacetime itself. Through these fissures, they caught glimpses of what lay beyond, the reality weaver's prison, where beings of pure thought and infinite potential waited to remake existence in their image of perfection. Admiral Ortiz's voice crackled through, "All Earth vessels, hold the line. We cannot let them." His transmission dissolved into quantum static as another reality wave rippled through the solar system. But in that moment of crisis, Captain Volkov finally understood why the Ancient Ones had chosen humanity. Through their shared consciousness, she felt the new keys taking shape, not forged from rigid perfection, but from the beautiful chaos of human experience. Every contradiction, every emotion, every impossible choice and unexpected solution that made humanity unique was being woven into their creation. The Ancient Ones weren't just looking for guardians, she shared through their merged awareness. They were looking for successors. A species that could understand both order and chaos, perfection and flaw, creation and destruction. The keys aren't just weapons or locks, they are a test. And the test isn't about worthiness, Patel's consciousness resonated. It's about understanding. About balance. Park's thoughts completed the revelation. Their shared mind reached out, touching the fundamental forces that shaped reality. But instead of trying to control these forces like the reality weavers had, they did something uniquely human. They adapted to them, worked with them, embraced the chaos while providing just enough order to prevent collapse. The new keys crystallized from their shared consciousness, not perfect replicas of the originals, but something new. Something that carried within them humanity's greatest gift, the ability to change, to grow, to find harmony in discord. Officer O'Neill's voice reached them again. "Captain, the patterns you're creating, they are unlike anything we've ever seen. The Void Hunters, they are retreating." Through their expanded awareness, they watched as their created patterns spread throughout the solar system. Unlike the rigid geometric structures of the Ancient One's original network, these new patterns flowed and shifted, adapted and evolved. They weren't just a defense system, they were a bridge between order and chaos, a new way of understanding reality itself. The Void Hunters' attempt to breach the Abyss Gate collapsed as the new defense network engaged. Their corrupted key sequence shattered, and their ships began falling back, retreating through their reality distortions as their plan unraveled. Slowly, carefully, the three merged minds began their return to normal consciousness. As their awareness compressed back into individual form, they brought with them an understanding that would change humanity forever. Nexus's consciousness touched theirs one final time. "You have done more than save reality, you have shown us a new way to understand it. The quarantine is ended. Humanity has proven itself ready not just for membership in the galactic community, but for leadership within it." As Captain Volkov's individual consciousness reasserted itself, she found herself standing in the Ancient One's chamber, her body trembling from the experience but her mind clear with purpose. Dr. Patel and Lieutenant Park stood beside her, their neural interfaces still humming with residual energy. Through the chamber's viewers, they watched as Earth's combined fleet moved to secure the solar system. The Luminarii ships formed honor guards around human vessels, acknowledging humanity's new role in the cosmic order. "Send word to Earth Command," Volkov ordered, her voice steady despite everything they'd experienced. Tell them that humanity's isolation is over. But our real work is just beginning." She looked at her crew, seeing in their eyes the same understanding they'd shared in their merged consciousness. They had not just inherited the Ancient One's legacy, they had transformed it, improved it, made it their own. The stars above had once represented humanity's prison. Now they represented something else entirely, an endless frontier of possibility, where human creativity and adaptability would help shape the future of reality itself. Humanity's quarantine was over. Their true journey was about to begin.